Okay, in Lab 4, we're moving on from Lab 3. We're actually going to make our system a little simpler, but also a little bit more complex. By simple, we're actually going to get rid of volume control, like push-button volume control, and just rely on the potentiometer for right now. To make it more complex, though, we're actually going to merge functionalities into one button, and we're going to get more than one ability out of a button by discerning between single clicks and double clicks on the system, okay? This is where we're going to start needing to think about like state machines and some flow diagrams. But the idea is, right, just to reiterate, right, you can either play or pause a song by single clicking, and then you can skip to the next song by double clicking the button. All right, and this is a little bit tricky from before, okay, where before we were actually just looking what was the old switch value, what was the new switch value. If it changed in a certain way, we've detected a push. Now we need to kind of like we need to basically like see is it pushed and then wait to see if it does something again. Okay, so we need to introduce the idea of timeouts and other things. Just real quick, going through the code, if you open up Lab04, the skeleton file, it's going to look pretty similar to before. There's a couple things I want you to look at. There is a new variable called timeout which you'll be using, so please keep that in mind. You have three functions: next song, pause, and unpause. These are identical to what you had before, so don't reinvent the wheel. Just copy paste those from Lab03, please. That'd be great. The only one you're really writing today is going to be ClickGetter. All right, this is your new code, and we have to see where does ClickGetter exist inside of the main loop. And the main loop in our files is usually towards the bottom. And again, our main loop is we have a try and then an except. So this is how we get out of our main loop if we want to abort our code. Then we just run forever while true. And what our loop's doing is we do output equals ClickGetter. So ClickGetter is going to be producing some sort of nice response. And then we're going to be doing either ignoring it. If output is a 1 and we're in a not play pause state, we unpause our music. If output is a 1 and we're in a play pause state, we're going to pause. And if output is 2, we're going to say next song. We're going to skip to the next song. And this 1 and 2 and none thing, these correspond to whether clicks have been detected. And this code is going to be running very, very quickly. Okay, so it runs, it runs, it runs, and runs. Every time through the loop, it checks to see, has there been a click? If there has not been a click, we're going to move on with our life. Okay, has there been a click? Yes, okay. What type of click? If it's a 1 click, we're going to do the correct action. So that's the job of ClickGetter. ClickGetter can access the GPIO pins. That's totally legit in this lab. I know in the last lab we kind of separated that functionality out. In ClickGetter, you can do that, okay? And what ClickGetter needs to do is really go in and implement this flow diagram that we have right here, okay? So we're going to start up here. Every time you run ClickGetter, you're going to start up here in your start state. And then the first thing it should do is, these arrows actually have a meaning, right? You can't go out of the start state this direction. All you can do is go down this way. So the first thing from start state you should do is check, am I pushed, okay? If you are, then you move on to state 1. If not, though, you have to go back around, okay? And there's a couple different ways to do that. But if you're pushed, you're going to need to basically go down to this pushed state, okay? So what would that look like in code? That could end up being, I'm going to just move this thing because it's annoying. So how can you do this this pushed check right here? Well, in code you can do, if GPIO dot input of whatever our switch is that we're interested in is equal to the state that we're interested in. Okay, so what is a push? What is the value of a push? You have to remember that. But if that happens, okay, so if that condition, then we go in and do some stuff, okay? Else, so if it's not pushed, we're going to go back, all right, to the start state. Now you can do this a few different ways. One thing is to just else return none, okay? Because in some sense you could think of this as, well, this time we called ClickGetter, we didn't see anything, so let's just immediately return a none and we'll come back later. Because remember, this code will run in loops. It'll be very nice. So you could do if some sort of condition, which is going to be based off of the switch value, then we'll do other code. And that other code is basically all of this stuff right here. else just return a none. All right. Now, how do we do this next part right here? So this part. Okay, because you can imagine we go down. So if we have seen a push, we're going to go into this pushed state. And the only way to go from the push state is down, okay? And if we're unpushed, we go back up to the push state and then go back and then we go back. And you can see with my pen, I'm making what would look like, dare I say, a loop, right? So this is actually a loop, or this can be implemented by a loop in our code. So here we can do, I'm going to erase some stuff. But because what we want to do is once we're pushed, we want to wait until we're unpushed. And that's when we say we've actually had a click. So you could then do while, whoops, let's go to black. While the condition, okay, pass. And so what that's going to do is, if the condition happened, you're going to go in, and then we're going to basically wait until the condition goes away, and then move on with our life, okay? And then there's code right here that we'll do. The go on with your life is finally when we've been unpushed, and now we are actually in a state, okay, the click one state. And at this point, this is when you should start doing a timeout, okay? This is where you're going to say, okay, I've experienced one click. Now, within a certain period of time, I need to see if I get another click. And that other click should be the same sort of idea, where you're going to be like, okay, within this certain period of time, if I get that condition again, I will wait until I don't get that condition, and then I can return 2 clicks.